Okay, this is a short lesson about about a technique that I learned from Scott Kelby training, and this is in order to do what has traditionally been called dodging and burning in photography. This is a photograph I worked on a little bit, and I've done a few things too. I have a couple of places here that I'd like to enhance it slightly, and I'd like this area right here to be a little bit less dark. It's just a little bit unpleasant. Also, I think I might want to darken some of these highlights here, or dark spots here, and lighten this highlight just a little bit. Maybe add a little bit of shadow contour here to give the shape a little more face. We'll play around with it, maybe just a little bit in here as well. And here's how we do that. There are tools. Over here, these are the dodging and burning tools, but I don't like to use them. They're difficult to use. I find them difficult to use. But here's the trick that I learned from Scott Kelby. If you create a new layer, and there are lots of ways to create a new layer, but just to illustrate this, I'm going to create it with this little option right here. If we click on that and take the new layer command, it brings up a dialog that we don't normally get, and it keeps us from having to do something a little later on. I'm going to call this layer burning and dodging. And we're going to change the mode of this layer to soft light. And then we're going to check this box here that says fill with soft light neutral color. Once we do that, a new layer is created that's filled with gray. Now I could have created this layer just by clicking new layer, changing the overlay mode to soft light, and then coming up here to edit, fill, and asking it to fill it with a 50% gray. But I did it in one step with the other option, so that's a nice little shortcut. Okay, we're ready to begin. And the first thing we want to do is we want to select the brush tool. And we can click right here, or we can press the letter B, which selects it for us. The second thing we're going to need to do is come up here to our opacity, and we don't want 100% opacity in our brush. We're going to be painting with black and white. Oh, by the way, it's a good idea when you select the brush tool to hit the letter D, and D makes sure that black is your default and white is your option, your background color. But we're going to come back up here to the opacity, and we're going to select that, press a 5, and then enter. And we've just changed our opacity of our brush to 5%. That means that when we paint, only 5% of whatever we're asking for is actually coming through. That gives us a light hand. And that's what we want in dealing with an image like this, because it's not, we just want subtle highlights. Okay, we're painting on this layer, so we want to make sure that layer is selected. You don't want to be painting on there. You paint on there and you'll be painting black on her face or white on her face. That's not what we want. Instead, we want to paint on this layer that has this effect soft light, that has an opacity on the brush of 5%. We have 100% opacity on the layer over here. Alright, let's get going. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click this right here to change white to our foreground. And by the way, X is a shortcut for that. You press X and it goes back and forth. Once you've got white selected, you can come down here and you can just paint. On a little delicate area like this, sometimes I just click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just lightening it up, and I'm moving it around. And it doesn't look like we've done very much, but if I come over here and turn the opacity of that layer off and on, you can see exactly what we've done. I think I want a little bit more up in here. Just a little bit. So now we've gotten rid of most of that little shadow region under her eye. Let's add a little darker over here, so I press X to select black, and I'm just going to paint a little bit of a shadow area there. I'm going to come down here a little bit, and then I'm going to come up in the hair here reduce the size of my brush, darken some of these areas up here. This probably isn't going to do much, but it does illustrate the technique. And then I'm going to switch back to white by pressing X, and I'm going to brighten these areas up a little bit. So we're painting on a neutral gray. It's not a mask, it's a fill, but it's kind of behaving like a mask, isn't it? And if we want to see what we've done, we can click, and you can see in this area that it's getting darker and lighter. Just a little bit. We didn't do a whole lot there. But that's a quick lesson on how to do a simple dodging and burning.